Go. Alright guys, I took my back wheel off my bicycle and I was still having problems with the chain and everything being wacky and breaking off the tie wrap to my brake arm. So I decided to take this guy apart, mainly just because see if there's anything inside here I can adjust, and also just to see if I can take it apart and put it back together. It's very this could be something that can be important. I haven't seen too many videos on YouTube regarding the disassembly of a coaster brake wheel. I saw one video clip and it was just pictures of the wheel coming apart. What I'd like to do is take this thing apart, show you some of the pieces, and put it back together. So let's get started. First thing first, I have the wheel laying with the left side up, meaning the torque arm on the brake is facing up. And there's a reason for that, and you'll see it in a little bit. My wife's been really nice. She's letting me disassemble this thing in the living room, and it can be a greasy mess. So if you guys get lucky and your chick lets you do this, be nice and keep everything clean. I got a filthy towel here for my stuff. I got my tools laid out here. These are the tools I figured I might need, I might not. So everything here I should be able to take the wheel apart with. So let's get started. First thing you want to do is you want to knock this, get this guy off of here. And with it being as tight as it is, what you need to do is you need to come in with a wrench and bust it loose. Sometimes they're harder than this. Coming off a wheel, it might be torqued down pretty hard. So in case you do, what I do is I make kind of a makeshift breaker bar. This is actually a 5/8 inch spark plug socket with a little 3-inch adapter on the back of it. And what I would do in this instance, if I needed to use it, I would put the socket in at the end of the brake arm. Actually, I need the bigger one. Use the bigger one, guys. But anyways, the socket would fit on the end like this, and then I would use it to help break loose the nut. But since this is already taken apart, I don't have to do that. So you go ahead and you break it loose. And you might need to come down below a little bit. Down. Always remember when using crescent wrenches, make sure they're as tight as possible. Okay? So you break them loose. There we go. She's coming loose. Alright. You can do the rest by hand. Now if you notice, my sprocket's already dropping down. That's fine, because it's going to come apart anyways. So you just keep unscrewing. It takes a little bit of time because it's a long threaded axle. Alright, and as you thread it out, make sure you keep your hand underneath it so that it doesn't fall to the ground. If it falls and you're working on concrete, you can risk damaging the teeth on your sprocket or bending the axle or tearing up the threads or what have you. So guy's ready to drop out. So what I do here, is I take all my parts off, just like that, and then I'll show you some stuff here. This here's my dust cap. This here is the brake shoe nut. I think that's what it's called, and it puts pressure on the brake shoes when you when you pedal backwards. That's that guy. So I'm taking the axle out. Voila. So what you have inside this axle is you have the axle, you have your sprocket, and in the sprocket is a lip where a bearing sits. And if you notice, there's a wide thread pattern right here, and that screws into the clutch that's still inside the bicycle hub. Okay. As I take this off, this is the axle, this is the cone nut, and it puts tension on the cone. I'll talk more about that later. And on the other side, it just fell out, is another small bearing. Okay. Now on the inside here, inside the left side of the hub, you have another bearing assembly. Well, I guess it's just a plain old bearing right here. Okay. Now always remember, bearings, the balls face towards each other. and that helps with the motion and everything. Now I'm going to take my finger from the inside and I'm going to push out, and my 2 brake shoes are coming out. Brake shoe 1, this here's your clutch, and brake shoe number 2. Let me explain the brake shoes for you. First of all, this is the clutch, and if you notice, there's a thick part of the clutch here and there's a thin part. And on the brake shoes, there's a thicker piece. I don't know if you can see the ridge. Thicker piece, and the rest is thinned out. So what you want to do is when you put this guy back in and put it back together, you have your thin piece, the thinner piece of the clutch, you want to put the thicker piece of the shoe on top of that. So you should fit just like this. Both shoes will fit. I put them in on opposite sides of the clutch. This here is your brake shoe nut, if that's what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. If you look right here, looks like little butterfly wing grooves right there. I don't know what else to call it. It looks like a butterfly to me. You got these little grooves, okay? On the clutch, you got these 2 prongs. Alright? So when you put them together, these grooves fit around the prongs like this. Okay? And if you notice, it doesn't turn. There's very little play in it. Alright? So that's how all that assembly goes together, and I'll show you guys when I put it back together how it all works. An important note to you motorized bicyclists, I learned this on the internet. This is the dust cap for the left side bearing assembly. When you buy a bicycle or you get a bicycle, usually this dust cap extends out a little bit and it goes down. It makes a lip. What I had to do was I had to cut the lip off, and I had to shave down the top of it so that it fits on the inside of the sprocket like this. Otherwise the sprocket would fit on top of the dust cap, and you might not get a good assembly going, or you might not get the sprocket as close or as tight as you need it to be, because the sprocket would be sitting on top of the dust cap, and then the brake arm, the torque arm here, wouldn't fit around the lip of the brake shoe nut, okay? And so it won't come together correctly. So you have to cut down the dust cap in order to get everything to fit. The reason why it's red is because I marked it with my sister-in-law's nail polish. Don't tell her. And that way I had a red ring of knowing when to stop the grinding of the part. Alright, and that's pretty much the disassembly of this hub. I know it looks a little intimidating at first, but it's really not that bad. It was like when I was in the Army and I had to learn how to take apart an M16. It was intimidating at first, but once you got the hang of it, it was really no big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this fella back together now, and it's pretty much the opposite of how I put it in.